Someone wrote in and said, I'd like my boyfriend to be a little rougher when we have sex. And he's afraid of
Like
hurting.
unshaven?
No, a little more aggressive, more
Oh,
physical during
completely
sex.
different.
And he's afraid of hurting her. He's treating her like she's spun glass. And she wants to know a better way to communicate with him so he understands that it would be pleasurable for her and he's not going to hurt her.
Cathy Vartuli from the Intimacy Dojo.
And Reid Mahalko from readaboutsex.com.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Great question.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I remember the first lover I had who really liked, rougher sex. And I'm a big guy, and I thought I was going to hurt her. And it took her, like, getting really angry at me. And I'm like, ah! And then I was like, okay. And really what she did was she walked me through, going really slow at first with, like, spanking, right? And so I'm like, and I'm like, is that okay? And she's like, that was okay. Try again, like a little harder. I'm like, and she's like, that was good. And so it was gentle, kind of like encouraging. And then I was like, and she was like, whoa, okay, a little too hard. And I was like, okay, good. Like, good to know, right? Like halfway, but then like, full wind up, not so good. But that was also me getting to realize that she liked it because I got to see the reaction from her from certain things.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And then me also realizing, the range she was talking about.
Yeah.
And then I just started to get better at that. But I still, I'm still afraid of hurting anybody.
Yeah. Well, I think people that care about each other don't want to hurt each other, but we are interested generally in producing pleasure in the bedroom. Mm-hmm. So, first of all, you can find out if you can decide what's right for you. I don't like hurting people. There's not, like, a light spanking.
Well, I mean, can I just say, like when we say hurting, you understand that there are people for whom pain at certain levels of arousal is erotic to them.
Yes.
Either the sensation that is pain occurs to them as pleasure, or the scenario of being, tied up and or whatever that is, like, I'm experiencing pain is erotic for them. And that for a lot of us who don't want to hurt people, usually what it is pain's not erotic for us.
Right.
And so we have to look at, that's a whole thing for you. And then when I thought of pain as intense stimulation,
it was easier for you.
That was super easy for me. And then there's different kinds of intense stimulation.
And some may be a yes for you and some may not be.
Yeah.
One thing that I found, the red, using the traffic light colors. Mm-hmm. So green means go ahead with that or even accelerate a little bit. Yellow means right about where you are, be cautious.
Proceed with caution.
Yeah, and red means stop. And I also found with one partner, I like, if I feel really safe, I like my hands held, like my wrists held during certain parts of intercourse. And so I showed that person like how hard I wanted to be held, like on their body, and that made a difference. They felt confident that they knew, and we checked in and we went slowly, but it did make them feel like, oh, this isn't so bad. Like you're not hurting me, therefore I'm not hurting you, kind of thing.
And the other thing to understand too about people's bodies is at certain levels of arousal, when people are super aroused, the pain receptors that would normally be registering stimulation as painful, for some people they kind of chemically flip over and you start registering intense stimulation as pleasure. Mm-hmm. So for some people who are super aroused, all of a sudden like really intense things start to feel really good. And that's just also useful to know, because for some of us who think, well, like that's not going to feel good. It could also not feel good for you because you've never been in a scenario where you got aroused enough to start feeling something more rough or stingy or thuddy to occur to you like, that feels kind of good. And so again, this is, in the kink and BDSM world, they talk about this stuff all the time. So you may want to look for resources in those areas or leave us questions and we'll point you in some good directions. And understand that for you, pain might not be fun.
Yeah.
And for somebody else, more roughness, more pain, more stingy, more thuddy, more like, I'm going to hurt you. They're like, oh, that's exciting.
Yeah. And if you could be specific about what you mean by rougher, it might help him too to move forward, because he may have, like, rough could mean a lot of different things and he may be lost. So if you can give examples or be very specific, that might help him feel comfortable with
Great.
it.
Leave your questions. Maybe even answer this one. How do you feel about rough sex? Do you like it? Do you not like it? When do you like it? When don't you like it? Bye.